Breaking news, Xavier Rhodes is coming to save Buffalo. Hey Bills Mafia, welcome to my channel, Bills News Consolidated. My name is Matt, and today we are going to be looking into Xavier Rhodes' visit to the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott seeking a veteran to come in and save this secondary. Mike Garafolo of NFL reported that Xavier Rhodes will be visiting the Buffalo Bills on Tuesday to bolster this injury-riddled secondary. Rhodes has spent the last 2 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts and all familiar with the Minnesota Vikings and Stefon Diggs. Here are the list of the injuries for Bills Mafia right now. Dane Jackson being out, Trey White being out, Christian Benford undergoing surgery for a fracture in his hand is going to be out multiple weeks, Micah Hyde being done for the season, and also Jordan Poyer, once known as one of the best corners in the league. Xavier Rhodes is looking to come to Buffalo and help out with this secondary. Rhodes had 39 tackles and an interception in 13 starts with the Colts last season. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler and a 1-time All-Pro while with the Vikings earlier in his career. A lot of people are wondering what went wrong with Rhodes. Why did he fall off after being a Pro Bowler several seasons, being known as one of the top corners in the NFL? What happened to Rhodes? People in Minnesota assumed that Rhodes was just a cap casualty, but they were asking Rhodes to do an awful lot, and he was getting up in age. And this article clearly breaks it down. It says, when the Minnesota Vikings released Xavier Rhodes in March, few were surprised. Rhodes played poorly through an injury-ridden 2019 season. The Minnesota Vikings released Xavier Rhodes because of his poor play and injury in 2019. His release came with a savings of $8 million against the salary cap, and Rhodes himself may be the only person who didn't see it coming. Plus, at the time, Vikings had some younger players developing in the background that were making AFC Player of the Week honors. Rhodes has been on a roller coaster ever since his 2017 All-Pro season. His decline was definitely jarring across the league, but now will we see a resurrection with Buffalo and Sean McDermott? And I believe we will. In 2017, Rhodes was essentially on an island. The Vikings were depending on him to be that island-type cornerback. Many play designs forced the safeties to choose between one route or another, and Zimmer, the head coach, could simply tell his safeties to leave Rhodes one-on-one and pick up the other guy. This simplified things dramatically, led to the number advantage and easier assignments for everyone on defense. In 2017 and before, Rhodes was awesome on these one-on-one matchups, locking up wide receivers, and the Vikings defense really paid dividends because of it. By the time 2019 rolled around, when his contract was up, he started to lose that edge. Whether the players were catching on to his system or he was just losing his rhythm, things just kind of went sour. Injuries also were a factor that contributed as well. In 2020, the Vikings parted way with Rhodes, and it wasn't solely because of that salary cap. He could no longer perform at the function that the Vikings were happy to pay him for in 2017. Rhodes may be a decent veteran quarterback in a more standard role, but they weren't looking for that, and they could find it much cheaper. So despite Minnesota offering him a reduced salary, he took his chances elsewhere. The Indianapolis Colts signed him a couple years ago to a 1-year deal, a $3.25 million contract, and as a 30-year-old cornerback coming off a down season, Indianapolis wasn't asking him to shut down an entire side of the field. The Colts would use him more in zone coverage than your average team, which gives Rhodes a lot less to worry about. He can funnel routes inside instead of having to set up for every possibility. He could pass off deep routes to the safeties and monitor the quarterback's eyes instead of having to read receivers. So this does come at a cost, being that Rhodes doesn't lock down one side of the field. He doesn't make the jobs easier for the players around him. With Rhodes not having the same responsibilities, it makes things a little bit harder for the entire defense. The Vikings didn't see his value at that point. Heavy zone defenses are more susceptible to dynamic offenses. When they have the man to run it, the Vikings man-match defense can produce much better results. So Xavier Rhodes just didn't really fit in the Vikings defense anymore. The 2017 season was really historic performance, and then the 2020 Colts are good, but unspectacularly so. Their zone coverage is a much safer, easier defense. It's ultimately less potent. The Colts didn't necessarily unlock a secret that the Vikings couldn't. They're just satisfied with a cover 2 zone corner, which is exactly what the Buffalo Bills use and run. Here we can also see that Xavier Rhodes is 6'1", almost 6'2", 218 pounds. He's a physical type corner, and we all know that Sean McDermott requires our corners to come in and tackle. You can see Xavier Rhodes has 369 total tackles in his career. That's 46 tackles a year and about 3 tackles a game. The other thing we already mentioned is the relationship between Stefon Diggs and Xavier Rhodes playing in Minnesota together. Diggs knows what Rhodes is all about, and look at this. They're going at it at practice. They actually got into a scuffle here at one point. And look at what Diggs says. Brothers argue, brothers fight, Diggs says. We go at it, but at the end of the day, we still love each other. Even before Diggs came to Buffalo, he was preaching love. He was preaching all the things that the Buffalo Bills DNA was talking about here. Diggs was such a flawless fit for Buffalo, and now he's reeling in Case Keenum. He's reeling in Xavier Rhodes. This guy could literally be a savior for the Bills Mafia. 2022 has been an awfully rough start with a depleted secondary. Leslie Fraizer, Sean McDermott, and Brandon Beane are scrambling right now looking for players. It's too late to try to develop someone and get them up to speed this far into the season. The last resort for Buffalo is to bring in a veteran-savvy cornerback that can run their zone coverage scheme, that can pass coverage back to our safeties, that can tackle. Xavier Rhodes is a perfect fit. So, Bills Mafia, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Xavier Rhodes is actually going to sign with the Buffalo Bills? Do you agree with our interest in Xavier Rhodes? I think this is a flawless fit for Bills Mafia, and we need everybody that we could get. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. We got videos coming out every single day, multiple videos, short form, long form, all sorts of good stuff. Going live too during the game, so make sure you check it out. I will check you guys soon. Go Bills! Peace!